Today on the range, we're going to review the new Savage 1911. Savage Arms reached out to us and asked us if we wanted to review this gun. We were excited to do so because when we shot this at SHOT Show a couple years ago, we felt that it was a very nice and well-made 1911. 1911s obviously are a dime a dozen on the market. Sometimes they're good, sometimes they're complete dog crap. We're hoping that this one is going to be the exception. Overall fit and finish of this thing out of the box feels really good. It feels very tight, and in general too, the slide to frame fit is very good with no wobble whatsoever in there. In fact, it feels just about as good as what I get on the TRP from Springfield Armory. The pistol itself though, what's nice is that the price point this comes in at is oftentimes what you're going to find all the parts on it to where they're metal injection molded. Now the Savage uses billet parts, so they're actually machined, and this does not use metal injection molded parts. What that means is for the end user is that can be a more durable design and an overall a better build quality, but that comes with a cost. This pistol MSRP is for $1,500. While feature set, it's more comparable with a Springfield Armory Operator, which is about $1,000. So that $500 difference or that extra money, again, comes at a cost. And some of that cost is to get those better parts on here. We haven't shot this thing yet. I lubed it, I got it ready to go. I have a whole crap load of magazines ready to go. I have some from KCI, I have MecGar, I have Chip McCormick, and then I have the 2 factory supplied 8-round magazines with bump pads. The trigger on here, let's see. So you got your quick, light take up standard 1911 stuff there, and absolutely no creep whatsoever when you pull the trigger. So very crisp break. There isn't any adjustment for over travel. It is a standard, curved trigger on there. The magazine release button standard. It does have good G10 style grips on here, which are like a thinner, but they have good overall, let's say, textures. The back here is a little bit slicker than I would like. It doesn't have a whole lot of texture as far as really biting into the heel of your palm. It does have an extended beaver tail with a speed bump back there, and then Ambi safeties. The Ambi safeties on here, they're good. Pretty gritty. They're pretty, there's a lot of grit as you're pushing down into it. They are tactile, so that's good. There's, good overall amount of force, and size-wise, they seem good. Both sides, they feel actually how they function is okay. However, there's quite a bit of grit in there. Grip textures are good. The frame serrations here are good. And then, of course, across the top here, which is what you'll oftentimes find on more of like a premium 1911, it does have a texture that goes across here on your sight rail. It does have adjustable Novak sights, a green fiber optic. That is actually a night vision night sight. So it has a night vision night sight on the front to go with the blacked out rear sight from Novak. Fantastic. I love that. I love the fact that they didn't put 3 dots on here. The hammer on there is a curved billet hammer. Looks good. This thing has a bunch of good parts on it that look good, and it seems like it's fit very well. So let's shoot it. First rounds out of our Savage 1911, 45 ACP, aka the Lord's caliber, but MecGar magazine to start out with. So stoppage, it is a failure to feed. What I noticed, there's another stoppage and a failure to feed. What I noticed with this pistol is it actually has like a dual captive, or it's not captive, it's a dual recoil spring. So instead of just one single flat wire or standard rate spring, you actually have 2 springs, one skinnier and one wider that goes around it. So you get 2. Usually those are captive. On this one, it's not. So 2 malfunctions there out of the gate. That's all right. We'll see see if it breaks in for us. So magazine here is a KCI, which these seem to work really well in our TRP and our Operator. So another failure to feed. All right, so that's 3 so far. Here's a KCI. A little rough go at it here to start with. All right. Well, maybe it doesn't like any of our aftermarket mags, but we got a few on us today. Let's make sure. Here's a Savage mag from them. So let's see how this one does. 8-round magazine with a bump pad. No issues with that one. Dropping free. Should have another one in here. The other Savage magazine. So good, no malfunctions whatsoever using the Savage magazines. Malfunctions with KCI and MecGar. And then I think I got the big stick in here, which this is one of my most favorite 1911 mags to use. It's the Chip McCormick Power Mag 10-round magazine. All right, good. So whether it's either worked itself out or it just doesn't like those KCI mags and the MecGar, no issue, because the Chip McCormick work fine and the supplied magazines work fine. So nothing to knock on it there other than the fact that it just doesn't seem to like those other mags. That does happen with 1911s. That happens certainly with 2011s. And in fact, certain aftermarket mags for any pistol on the market, you can have that. Overall, how does a pistol feel when you shoot it? Like a 1911. I mean, you guys, if you've seen a 1911, it's good. The trigger feels really good. I think the trigger weight is good as well. Really, it's a nice shooting pistol. It has obviously a good Picatinny rail on there. And let's load this thing up with a few extra mags, not using our previous ones. We'll use just the Savage and the Chip McCormick. We'll see how it performs, and I'll give you guys some final thoughts. So we're at 20 now on our paper. We'll shoot that pelvic girdle circle. Seems pretty good. You can actually adjust the sights. Looks like I'd probably need to move them to the right a touch. One thing I want to mention is I did recently shoot a TRP operator from Springfield, their new one, for a couple articles that we were working on. And what I'll say is that this shoots a little bit snappier than that, and I'm not really sure what the point of their recoil spring procedure was with this. It's definitely different than what I've seen from everybody else. The pistol's working fine. It seems like it doesn't really track quite as flat. Now granted, that pistol from Springfield is $2,000, so you're looking at $500 more. It does have a standard, full length guide rod, but this thing, it shoots good. It's accurate too. Come on, let's run up here and take a look-see. So, 3 mags right here on that. Like I said, I'll probably do some adjustment on the sights, but that's 3 mags with a 45 ACP from 20 yards on, if this was a B8, those would all be within that B8 size circle. I'm obviously shooting this Opata. I shot some earlier today, but that's a pelvic girdle, 50%. So on a full-size Opata, that would have hit it. The pistol shoots really well. I find it to be very easy to be accurate with. And in fact, how well fit it seems, it's good. It's very tight, which is good because as you shoot 1911s or 2011s, they do break in more and they can start to get looser, which that's okay because that leaves room for growth. The fitment on this pistol though, they did a really nice job, especially for a company not known for making 1911s. It's really good. And sometimes a lot of people, they just really jump to Kimber or they jump to Springfield. What I'll tell you, based off the Kimber pistols I've seen and the poor experiences I've heard of and seen personally and experienced, I would get this over mostly all the Kimbers on the market. I think it's a nicer 1911 with a company that isn't mired in anti-2A nonsense. So guys, if you're interested in the Savage 1911, I don't think it's something you need to be worried about. I think it's something you should strongly consider, in fact, and I think it's a really great 1911 in general. So guys, if you're interested, happily ask us questions down there in the comment section. I will answer them for you because these are very, very rare. You never really see these in store, but you can find them online. But if you're on the fence about getting one, I recommend it. But until next time, follow along with Hunt, Fish, Shoot.